what I do is I merge the meditation into the programming.
Right.
Okay, so that if you follow any of the new stuff they're doing on what's called flow state, like all these extreme athletes go into stuff, and they reach these points where they're existing at a primal level to make decisions.
I'm a nerd. I'm not very cool. What the heck is flow state? What are you talking about?
Okay, so if we look at brain function,
right?
What do we got? Let's use the blue. If we look at brain function, okay, you have from 0 to about 4.5 cycles per second in your brain is delta. Okay, from 4.5 to 7 is what's called theta.
Right, this I've heard before.
Okay,
yes.
from 7 to 14 is called alpha, and then from 14 to 21 is beta. And then there's an interesting...
So it's beta, alpha, theta, and what was this?
Delta.
Delta, got it.
Delta is deep sleep, 0 to 4.5 cycles. Theta is about 4.5 to 7, which is where you get painless dentistry, anesthesia, all that kind of stuff. Alpha is where you have 10 cycles per second. In the middle of alpha is where you have your dreaming state. Okay, you deep dreaming, REM sleep, that kind of stuff where your eyes are moving. And a beta is your awake state. So if you're focusing, like if I focus on you right now, your brain automatically goes into beta because that's a focusing.
You're not hypnotizing me, are you?
No.
Aren't we all?
Now, there's another state, which is called gamma, which is up around the 50 cycles per second.
And is that cocaine?
No.
Okay.
It's an interesting state because it's not, depending upon how you look at it, it's not necessarily considered normal brain function.
Okay.
Okay, so this is like if you have an epileptic seizure, you're functioning in the gamma level. That's what happens when you're flashing. Now, interesting, when you go into flow state, you're in this primal level where you're accessing information from somewhere.
Right.
Okay, and you're able to make decisions based upon this information coming in. That could be, like for extreme athletes, could be life and death situations that they're making decisions upon.
Right.
Now you can induce that other ways, doing programming and doing other stuff. But what's interesting
so
is,
we're not talking about golf here. We're talking about jogging up the side of a mountain.
Anyone who's in a deep level of concentration where time has become irrelevant is in a flow state.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's typically thought of to be right at the 7 to 11 between 7 and 10 cycles per second.
Between alpha and theta?
Yeah, the high alpha, high theta, low alpha.
Okay.
Now, what's interesting is when just as you enter in to the flow state, you get a gamma burst. That they're trying to understand what that means. You get a gamma burst for like milliseconds, and then you go back down. Now you've entered this flow state.
We've gotten a software update.
Okay, well, something's happened. Okay?
Right.
So what's interesting is, if you know how to harness this, which I've done a lot of meditation, is I do all my programming in this kind of level. So I'll face an issue or I'll have a new task, and I'll focus on it, and then keep on focusing in it, and then wait till I get to a state like that, which is what I've done it for years, which I've realized is what they call a flow state, where time becomes irrelevant, and you sit there and you work, and all of a sudden you see, gee, how did 2 hours of time go by?
So, okay, can I stop you there?
Sure.
And so I actually have done some programming. I have an associate's in computer science, and I've done some casual to moderate programming. I'm in the 100 to 10,000 lines of code space, not the million lines. But I had definitely done that. I have sat down behind a keyboard, and when I look back up, the sun is down, and I went,
hours of time.
What the hell just happened?
You've entered into that state.
Yeah.
Okay, now you didn't enter it into as you're going down a mountain,
right,
and you're about to go on snowboarding or something. You've entered into that state because you've had intense concentration.
Right.
Now, interestingly enough, the more complex the task, the easier it is to get into that state.
Wow.
Okay. So now, what can you?
Assuming you're intelligent enough to do the task at that complexity.
Well, in anything.
Because not everyone is.
Complex for you.
Right.
Okay,
complex so it doesn't really matter what the net. So you don't need to be doing work at 120 IQ level.
Right.
You just need to be doing.
It's complex for you.
95% or up for you.
Right, for you.
Okay. Interesting.
So now, what's interesting is that if you know how to enter these states, you can accelerate your learning tremendously. So you can learn all the stuff you need to do, like for new languages or new methods of programming, much quicker.
That's really interesting.
And you can intuitively get answers to things instead of having to look up in a book, for example. Now, you still need a certain base knowledge, but if you know how to harness that, and this is what I'm in the process of developing a class to do this kind of thing,
right?
Where you're able to harness this and then accelerate your learning much faster. Like I did this all through college. When I was going through college, I used a bunch of different techniques.
So
and I would
you just study for 1 hour a day and then you party the rest of the time because you got through your work so fast?
This was back before.
You just wanted to ace everything.
This is before we
Nerd.
before the kids today.
Yeah.
Before the kids today who spend an hour a day in college, including going to class. We didn't do that.
Yeah.
But if you take a book, for example, the theory is that your subconscious mind remembers everything.
Right.
Okay. So if I have to read a book for college, for example, if I slowly go through each page and just look at it, supposedly my subconscious mind has memorized the whole book. Okay.
Right.
So now when you go to sleep, what I used to do is tell myself, I'm going to read this book at night, twice. Okay. And I would have dreams of going through these books and stuff like that. And the next day when I went to study it, I would be able to go through much faster.
So I
pick up the information a lot quicker.
I have all kinds of crazy ideas on the subconscious mind.
Right.
And what you're saying, I completely understand what you're saying. I have not tried it, and I'm kind of like.
It doesn't take much to do it.
So the thing that bugs me about it is I've dreamt code. I got to that point in the coding process where I solved the programming problem in my sleep.
Right, and that's
Right.
I do all my stuff like that.
Right, and of course we solve all kinds of problems in our sleep.
Right.
But I never tried to study in my sleep. I feel like I would be at the test and just panicking because my rational mind's not aware of
the only studying you're doing.
Okay.
You're using this to enhance your studying. So you're looking through, you say, I'm reading the book,
studying the same
then the
stuff.
following day I'm actually going to go through and read the book.
Oh, you're studying the same stuff twice.
Yeah.
Once subconsciously, once rationally.
So now I'm going through the next day and I'm reading my material, and I can absorb it much faster and go through it much quicker.
Right, because you already worked the concepts
Right.
out.